I've tried guest.
Okay.
That used to work. Go ahead. That's okay.
Okay. And our audio should be on.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, I see you on the screen.
And hear us?
Yeah, well, I don't hear you on the screen, so you hear us, right? If I turn off the phone here, right? See ya. Can you hear us?
Yeah.
I take that as a positive.
Okay.
Okay,
Good to go.
all right.
For your patience.
Good evening
We're not going anywhere.
and welcome to the Grant County Board of Zoning Appeals meeting for April 7th, 2025. If you would, take a moment to silence your cell phones. Okay. And please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay. Can we have a roll call, please?
Randy Atkins,
Yes, here.
Bill Johnson.
Yeah.
He's there. He was one.
He's on the thing.
Lois Jones,
Here.
Bruce Long,
That's Chip.
John Pearson,
Yes.
Dan Young, Ed Hartman.
Yes. Thank you. Okay. Next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes for December 2nd, 2024.
I don't know if Andrew's the new person first.
Yes.
Why don't we introduce the new secretary so everybody can know before we go to the.
Lois hasn't met Linda.
Okay, we'll get to that right next.
Okay, yeah, so we do that before we get started.
Let's go ahead and do this one.
Okay.
Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes for December 2nd? So I don't think it's a real problem. Normally, you see them like motion to approve by, the first person and then second by the second person. And then all the names are listed as to how they voted after that. Whereas this, it is assumed that the person that made a motion and a second also voted for it. Because then we only have two other people mentioned and that wouldn't have passed the motion. So I would try and keep them in that format. It's a little more clear for us.
And see if I did that with the next. Yeah, I have it in that format in the next meeting minutes.
Okay.
Sorry about that. That's the way I've done the APC ones too, so.
And also, it's got Chip Long and then Bruce Long. So for those who don't know, that they're the same person. So just either Chip wants to be Chip Long or either Bruce Long, not Chip Long and then come down and say Bruce Long. Really, they're the same person, but just asking if well, he's always been Chip Long or
I think this one's okay. I think we saw that one on the February.
on the December 2nd.
Looking at December 2nd,
Yeah.
I'm seeing him as Chip every time.
Yeah. And there's,
Is that what you see? Or I may have fixed this one just for my own record here to sign. Yeah,
Yeah,
you said Bruce.
I look at Chip as the nickname. I'll use Bruce as we move forward.
Okay, yeah, as long as we stick with one.
Yeah, one of the, yeah, just one of the.
We all kind of know him by Chip.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, any other additions or corrections? Okay. Do we have a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve December 2nd as presented.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second. So we have motion to approve and a second. So motion from Mr. Pearson and a second from Ms. Jones. Can we have a roll call, please?
Randy Atkins,
Yes.
Lois Jones,
Yes,
Sean Pearson,
Yes,
Ed Hartman.
Yes. Okay, motion passed.
got one more on the video.
Bill, would you like to vote on that motion?
Do I get a vote?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Next is the minutes for February 3rd. Do we have any additions or corrections? Hearing none, do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes from the February 3rd Board of Zoning Appeals meeting.
Okay. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion from Mr. Atkins and a second from Ms. Jones. Can we have a roll call, please?
Randy Atkins,
Yes.
Bill Johnson,
Abstain?
Lois Jones,
Yes,
John Pearson,
Yes,
Ed Hartman.
Yes. Okay. Motion passed. Okay, we have no findings of facts to go over with. And under old business, is there an update on Eric Wood property, Upland Airbnb?
I did drive by the property and it looks to be in good shape. There were people there. I don't know if they're, I didn't go knock on the door. I don't know if they're living there full time or if they're just visiting, using it as a Airbnb.
Yeah.
I didn't call anybody. I just wanted to take a drive by and see if the property was in good shape and
but I think they need to talk to the person that's over that to find out.
That'd be Eric Wood.
Yeah, give it to Eric Wood to find out that
But it looked, yard looked cleaned up and that kind of thing looked
Yeah,
looked okay. Okay.
for this time of the year, there's always some leaves and that sort of thing, but
Yeah.
for this time of the year, it's the ugly time of the year.
All right. Well, it was pretty ugly before, so.
No, I don't know what it looked like before, but it looked very reasonable, like all the other properties in the neighborhood.
Okay. Well, good. That's good to hear. All right.
So
Now-
do you want me to follow up, just to be clear? He's in Michigan, right?
Oh, he's in-
Does he live in Michigan, Eric?
Randy?
He
I don't
lives
know. I thought-
near Muncie.
So I thought
Okay.
Muncie.
Yeah.
I was thinking it wasn't local,
Well, yeah.
but if you want me to follow up and make a phone call, I
Yeah,
can.
maybe, that way, you could, he is the property owner, so, that's who we need to contact.
And what would you like, I mean, what's your specific questions?
Well, he was gonna remodel the place, or at least fix it up some. We didn't really get any clear plan of how much it was gonna get fixed up or anything, but, it was kind of run down at the time, and that he had it. He'd had it previously as a long-term rental property, and he'd had some tenants kind of run it down, and he was gonna straighten it up and use it as an Airbnb there in Upland. And so we were kind of wanting to know just when he was done, what he was doing, that kind of thing. It was,
Did you give him a special exception or change anything?
we gave him a special exception to run that as an Airbnb.
Okay.
Unowner, as a non-owner occupying B&B. I guess there are two stipulations in the law. There's an owner occupied Airbnb, and then there's a non-owner occupied Airbnb. The owner occupied you can do by right, but the other one may require a special exception.
Okay. So the basic question is he running the Airbnb, or does he have long-term renters in there?
Yeah.
There were people there when I drove by.
It's not, we just kind of wanted to close the record on this one, I think, if we're done, okay? Now, okay, well, anyway. Now, because the next one, we would probably work on this for a while anyway. I'm going to go out of order here and ask if there's anyone that would like to address the board. We'll move public comment time up and let you do that now. Yes,
Public comment?
yes, public comment time. Would you come to the podium, please?
We have a sign-up sheet, Todd.
Linda Sutton, 1221 South, 350 East, and I have a question. Is next month going to be the review of the event center zoning permit? It was,
Is it 2 years? 2 years up?
I believe so.
Okay.
It was a 2-year review. So we'll get that on the agenda for next month.
Yeah,
Okay.
thanks for reminding us.
What event center is that?
We had a contingent special exception passed for a event center. And in 2 years, it would have a review.
And he doesn't follow the
Yeah, to make sure that
exceptions.
He's following what applies to that exception.
Where is that?
I don't know the address offhand. I have a feeling Mrs. Sutton could get you pretty close.
It's across the street from 1221 South, 350 East,
What city?
Marion.
Marion, okay.
Yeah.
Marion.
You know where, what was the camp? New Horizon,
Oh, okay.
the Horizon
Yeah.
School, and then there's a camp down on 30.
Okay, is there anyone else that would like to address the board? Todd? would you introduce your new staff member? People here have not met her.
This is, if I get the title right, it's Executive Director Assistant. And Belinda's been a great help, Belinda Benefield, to me. You're coming in and new a little bit and bring things up to speed. And she's been great with the staff and helping me out with splits and all the financial piece. It's been a real burden off me. Be able to count on her.
I'd like to also identify her as the office manager.
Yeah,
Right.
Okay,
so she's more or less.
We had that discussion this morning.
perfect.
So she's more or less taking Brenda's place? Okay.
Do you have any questions?
Yeah. No, I was asking him, was she taking Brenda's place? Because, Brenda was the office manager, so she's the new office manager. Okay.
I can remember office manager, those other big long words, tongue ties me.
Yes. Well, good to meet you, Belinda.
It's nice meeting you.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Belinda.
Is it Belinda?
Belinda. Belinda Benefield.
Belinda.
Okay. I don't believe we have any other new business.
But there is one thing that's not on the agenda,
Okay.
and that is just trying to go through the office and look at things from the very ground up and all the absolute basics. And I come across things, as we're digging through the office and files and so on. And so one thing that's come to my attention is oath of offices for both the BZA and the APC. And we talked to David a little bit about this. We could just do it all at one time. And I have the forms here, and I believe during the APC meeting, we have, I've forgotten her name. She works in the health department, and she can get her notary here and have these documents notarized, and I'll file them at the clerk's office. It's something that's required by the state. And we may not think it's a big deal, but it's just one of those details that we want to just put in place and keep moving from the ground up, right?
Right.
Did we ever do that before?
No, I don't think it's been done
I've been
for,
19 years, I never heard them doing it.
yeah, I don't, talking to other people, but
Persinger started it with some. Did you take an oath of office, Clayton?
I did.
I feel like
Did you do it, John?
I signed something. I had to come sign something.
Did you?
I had to come to the office to sign
Yeah,
something.
that
But it was never done official like this. It's
No, it's not official, yeah.
and I checked with the clerk's office, and there's none filed for anyone.
Oh,
No,
well,
it's not.
I came to the office to get stuff and sign stuff.
Right, and then they need to be filed at the clerk's office, so.
I might have been sworn in, but I know I didn't sign anything that was then filed
I never
later.
been sworn in, never signed anything.
Yeah.
I'm just here.
And it's not like, as I looked it up, you probably much better than I am, but what I looked up is it's not something that would be a showstopper for anything on its own. But, it's one of those things that could be part of something to build any kind of case. So let's just do everything as right as we possibly can.
Yep.
Yep.
Are we doing that right now?
I think we're going to do that at the conclusion of this meeting. Is that right?
Yes, like I said, if she gets here to do the notaries, we'll go do that.
Okay.
I will copy it off another form. And then I'll keep up with the members that aren't here.
We'll get copies of those, once we do that.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is a project that may take us a few meetings to get through. And we'll work on it as we have time. And that is the zone table. Hasn't been updated real recently, since I believe 2017, might have been the latest time it was looked at. And so, since we're the ones who use this, you know, in the office, but, you know, this kind of is a guide for who comes for a special exception, what's permitted by right, and what is not permitted at all in these specific districts. So we would probably have the most interest in making recommendations and then eventually getting commissioner approval of them and then getting this table officially changed then. So we're starting the process. And basically, I kind of went through it, and there's a few things that come out, and I thought we might discuss them. No decisions made tonight. I would like to just kind of make our thoughts, and then at a later meeting, we'll visit it again and possibly decide on each one. Okay? So anyway, on the first page, you'll see the land use. The first one is accounting, auditing, and bookkeeping services. And as you can see, it is allowed by right, where there's an X in professional, business, neighborhood convenience, local business, central core, general business, and industrial 1. And it's not allowed in all the other districts, ag, RS, R1 through 5, and industrial 2 for 3. Okay.
What was CC again, Ed? I'll be honest with you,
CC.
I do not know the difference between the land use, so this is gonna be beneficial that we have some discussion as we move through this.
I need to get you an extra sheet. Did you see my email today?
Did I?
Yeah,
Well, I probably didn't look at it.
probably did. That's okay. Let me-
I apologize for that.
Is that cheat sheet in the packet?
I did not see that stapled with this that we have.
Okay, it was a separate attachment. Okay, I have 2 extras. You've got one.
I got one.
Down to Randy.
It was
Lois, do you
passed
need
out
one?
earlier.
Okay, what? Good.
Yeah, 'cause I had it in my,
You had it here? All right.
This explains what those, what it is across the top is what that does to us. Thank you.
Right. Okay. Now, what I was looking at was possibly a special exception in ag or RS. Now, these are not hard, fast, I want this. These are just possibilities that I would say maybe we could discuss these. Sometimes these are a small office, and we may want to consider that.
I would agree with that, Ed.
Okay. We'll pencil that in as an S in the first couple districts. And like I said, when we go through them later, we'll more so make a final determination. Okay, next one being advertising agencies. And it is the same, has permitted use in PB through I1 Nothing in any of the other districts. I don't know about advertising agencies. Do we have many of those here in Grant County? Might have one at least, right? Yeah.
David, if you know, David, the advertising agencies, do we have any?
I'm not aware of any.
I'm not either.
Okay. All right. So maybe we just hold off on that one. Okay. Airport, it's allowed by right in ag and RS, special exception in R1 through R5, by right in professional business, neighborhood convenience. No, it's special exception in neighborhood convenience and local business by right. Central core by special exception, general business, I-1, I-2, I-3 are all allowed by right. Are we okay with this?
Garvey that lives not far from me that has a plane, he has a pad. He can do that, so
Is he out in the ag? You think? Or,
I'd say more or less, but not, there's no agriculture around in that area.
Yeah.
It's more about housing,
so it could be RS.
maybe,
Yeah, okay. All right.
Is it okay if I
It
put
is,
in my 2
it
cents?
is very okay for you to
Okay.
put in your 2 cents.
We're talking about airplanes, airports.
Yep.
We start thinking about drones
yeah.
and ag. I mean, last year I seen a lot of use of the large drones that are as big as a small car to spray all the fields.
Right.
Okay.
And I've had a little experience with ag or with the drones in which you start having airports and you have to call into the airports. And I think we're probably talking about just private planes.
Yeah.
You just want to consider that. I'm not saying one way or the other, but there's some things that we got to consider that's up and coming, and it's coming at us fast.
Yeah.
I was really surprised. I knew they had those large drones for spring, but I was really surprised when I seen it in my backyard. Right?
Are they flying those off of a road? Or
Yeah.
I think they're taking them. That's how they're taking them off.
They launched those off of a trailer, off a flatbed trailer.
Short. Okay,
I
so
was
it's like
really
a helicopter drone then.
No, it's a 4-prop drone, but it's as big
They
as
can
a
take
small
off in
car.
that short a distance.
It's a helicopter drone. We got the four helicopter.
Yeah,
For helicopter,
four
propeller,
propellers. Yeah,
helicopter style.
yeah.
Okay, yeah,
Well, there are
there's both.
helicopter crop spraying devices that actually land on a trailer with tanks to refill where it sits. They don't have to go back to the airport.
Right.
Or they don't need any takeoff strip at all.
But, and then you think about, and there's, in larger cities, I don't think we have any here, where they're delivering things with drones. It's going to be messy.
Yeah, they don't.
I mean, if they have drones that large to spray crops, we're not that far away from people riding around in them. And when we have I love them. I like watching the guys that have the ultralights, right? And they're flying around.
Yes. Okay. Well, there could be some conflicts then to
Right.
be aware of with airports and people flying drones in the area.
Mm-hmm. Well, and whether you want to make it more restrictive or not, because we're talking businesses here. We're talking business growth.
So is this going to be like a separate category, the drones, or an
Well-
adjacent to the helicopter
Am I right that now drones have to stay away from airports?
Yeah, and if you come within a certain distance from the airport, you have to call it in.
Rex, do you have something you wanted to tell?
Yes, I know a little bit about them.
Okay.
Okay.
You would come
But
up
I
to the
worked with the
podium.
guy at the racetrack and I checked on it thought about getting my own license. You gotta be licensed on them, and there's a website out there. If you gotta take it up, and you gotta punch in where you gonna fly it, and it'll tell you if the government restricts that area.
Okay.
So you gotta be licensed. A lot of people are buying these little ones
Yeah.
and flying it and going everywhere. No, it ain't a toy. They think if this is my play toy, just like you get a powered gas airplane, you got, no. You gotta be licensed to fly these, and you gotta get on that app and learn. Because if you don't, you'll have people flying them over your house illegally. You guys, that's what you guys need to think of in the future.
Okay.
Because it's coming out there more and more. And that's why they're having trouble. That's why you look out east when they said at night they's having, is it individual putting their drones up and they can't track them because they don't have license and these companies are selling them to them.
Yeah.
So that's what you guys might want to look at because it's here already.
So we
People are
want to
using
a
it.
separate category, drones,
Well, at this point, it's airports that we're looking at, and drones have to stay away from them
like I said,
So-
we want to be,
that they don't collide with airplanes. The question might be, do we want to be more restrictive on new airports? And let's mull that one over, discuss that one again. Okay, and next one is anhydrous ammonia or similar liquefied fertilizer storage and distribution. And that's by special exception in ag district and general business, and by right in industrial 1, 2, and 3. Now, do farmers store anhydrous on their property any, or is it just
They can.
in tanks going to and from?
They can have their own storage tanks.
They can have their own
I'm
storage.
assuming there's EPA regulations that are all over this one.
Mhm. And then we have it by special exception, though I don't recall anybody asking for a special exception for this. So, that may not be widely known.
Yeah, and I don't know that in Grant County, we have on-farm anhydrous storage other than the tanks that travel back and forth. Like
Tanks
everything-
on trailers, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
You've got to be a pretty big farmer to justify that expense.
Yeah. Yeah. You'd have a separate large tank for that.
To have a separate storage unit.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we feel okay with this one? Special exception?
Yes.
Okay. Animal feeding operation, you see here, it is not allowed anywhere. Okay, and that would be like CAFOs. Yeah. Okay,
Do we actually know the status of CAFOs in Grant County at this time?
moratorium.
A moratorium.
Yeah. Now, we could recommend that be lifted. We could recommend that be by special exception or only in certain zones like ag only. Or
Would it require its own ordinance?
that would require an ordinance change. And it would require the commissioners lift the moratorium for us to make any change to that.
So
So it's two things that would have to happen.
it would be an area-wide zoning ordinance change But would it merit an individual ordinance that would go along with that?
Oh, like defining exactly what the expectations were.
Similar to the solar ordinance?
Yeah. Be a pretty big project then too, wouldn't it?
I know that there was some research being done.
We used to have them allowed in this county, so there may be something out there to look at. Okay,
It's ag and then look RS, that residential.
so what's that now?
It says ag and then the RS would be residential.
Yeah, residential, suburban, it's kind of that zone between the two.
Right, and so like, nobody's wanting a pig farm next to their house.
Right,
So, and that's why we,
that's why there's a
yeah,
moratorium.
we, leave that like it is. Yeah.
Next one would be animals and fowl, non-farm, breeding and raising. This one's, there's a lot of people raising chickens nowadays, you know, and so we have that by right in ag and RS, but none of the residential zones, none of the business districts, only in industrial, ag, and RS. But yet, there's chickens being raised in a lot of cities and towns.
And, we've got, like I said, we've got this pandemic off and on, these chickens or whatever.
Bird flu.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so that way, these people need to get, health department approved for these animals or have these animals, on a yearly basis to be checked or whatever.
I doubt that's happening much.
Right. Right.
Yes, I hear you.
Yeah.
The bird flu.
Yes.
That's, they're kind of backing off of that. They were just killing millions of chickens with
Right.
that. And now they're finding that maybe they don't need to be doing that so much so, but it is changing a little bit.
So in the event that a small town would have something written addressing this, how would that apply to our area-wide zoning ordinance?
Well, in the area-wide zoning ordinance, by commissioner's final approval, it would be by special exception or permitted, and each town would have a right to opt out of that if they wanted to, and that would be recorded in the ordinance. That Matthews opted out or Fairmount opted out or whoever. As you see in the area-wide zoning ordinance, when you look through it, there are several things that different towns have opted out of because they wanted to go ahead and allow it, or they didn't want to allow it, depending on what it was about.
So if they were to allow it, could they establish their own conditions?
Yes,
Okay.
I believe that's true. They are like a legislative body. Clayton.
Sorry. Jonesboro is dealing with this and talking about it just a little bit. So yes, they would be able to make their own stipulations and laws. They would just be the enforcement mechanism. So Jonesboro is currently looking for a code enforcement officer because we have some local regulations that aren't countywide. So we can't ask county officials to do it. So I think it would be something like that, where the city can make its own rules, but we can't ask Mr. Glancy or his staff to enforce it because it's not an APC rule, is my understanding.
Makes sense.
So yours are more stringent than the counties.
In some cases, we didn't end up doing chickens, but yes, there are some things we have specific laws about cars on lawns and things like that that apply specifically to Jonesboro, and leaves on streets and things that we can't ask you to enforce. We have our own code enforcement.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so. That's one to think about, isn't it?
Yeah.
If we want to put any of those additionally in there, special exception, and let towns opt out, or just kind of leave it the way it is. I know, though, that this is not really being followed the way it is, and I don't think people know that they're kind of, small time, raising chickens for their own use, Anyway, okay, that's one to think about. I've got it highlighted. Then apartment accessory, and okay, it's R5, professional business.
What would be an apartment accessory?
That's a question here. That's a good question, and we ought to look at that a little bit more. And I didn't find anything specifically on that, other than the question kind of is, do you have a house and you have a living quarter as an accessory, like like an apartment above your garage, and it has everything but a kitchen, because it's not allowed to have a kitchen except by special exception.
So it's not like it's an accessory to an apartment. It is the apartment being the accessory.
That's kind of the way I read it. Now,
Okay.
I might have it backwards, It's not. Do you know, David? Do you have a feeling?
Looking to see if it's in the definitions right now.
Okay.
I think you have an accessory building that has an apartment in it. That's what I think it is, but I won't swear to that.
And you also then have a house,
It's not
since you
part of
need a
the house.
primary structure
It's not defined in here.
to have an accessory building. Okay, the next one is apartment, multifamily dwellings. And as you can see, those are by right in R3, R4, and I5 that have multifamily in their district. So those R3, R4, and R5 are for multiple families in those areas, okay? And then professional business, local business, central core, and general business. So,
Now add that first category where it says we've got an A, we got a D, we got a C, we got a B. What do those letters
okay,
stand for?
the landscape column,
Yes.
we're gonna not deal with that at this time.
It's defined in 153.5.
Yeah, it's more complications with setbacks and distances
Okay,
from the house to the property line,
so we're not gonna pay attention.
between houses, that kind of thing, yeah. And there's a lot of stuff in that, so really won't change what we're doing out here.
Okay.
Okay. All right. I think I'd recommend leaving apartment, multifamily dwellings, leaving that alone. Architectural services. Now, it's very similar to engineering services as far as business goes. And engineering services is on down here in the list, and they are allowed by special exception in R5. And then PB through I1, they're allowed by right. So I would suggest we make it the same as engineering services. Because the way it is now, architectural services has no place.
Yep.
Okay,
I agree.
all right. Next one is art and music schools. Special exception in ag and RS. Special exception in R3 and R4. And then by right, R5, PB, LB, CC, GB. It is a business. And maybe this is about right, the way it is. Does anybody have any opinions or voice on that? Okay, we'll move on. Asphalt and concrete temporary batching plants are by special exception in ag and RS. And then out here again in NC and CC. And by right in GB through I3. We gave permission for one very near Gas City, and it was to be used for work on the highway, interstate. That was a few years ago. Do you remember that, Lois? When we did the concrete batching plant near Gas City?
Is that on 500?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. It's still there.
Yes.
And it was by special exception. I don't know that I'm seeing much need for change here. Sometimes, though, when there's an S, people would probably think, oh, I can just apply for that and get that. And in some of these things, we might be hesitant to approve a concrete plant in Central Core Business District. That'd be like downtown. Or local business.
Well, they probably could have their office down there in that area and then have the plant
Someplace else.
someplace else.
Yeah, and the office, well, that would be fine. But this special exception in these two locations, I kind of think those would be a problem. Dust and noise and big trucks in Central Core Business District and local business district. I'm kind of thinking maybe we ought to pull those and make that one not available in those. Do anybody else have an opinion on that? It's rare that we're asked to approve that. Anyway, but okay. Athletic fields and courts are basically allowed everywhere with some restriction in industrial by special exception. I think it kind of makes sense. Attorney or law office. It's allowed by special exception in R5, by right in professional business, special exception in neighborhood convenience. by right in the next 4 through I-1 and special exception in I-2.
I think we need to add that to ag either as allowing it or with a special exception, because I believe we have attorney offices in ag.
Okay. Highlight that one. Do you have opinion on RS?
I think it probably needs to be RS too. That would involve potentially impacting more people. You want to do that special.
Special exception for that.
As special exception. A small law office probably would not
Just a
impact
small
very many.
office.
Not a high traffic business.
Right.
Okay, auction sales yard, excluding livestock. First 2 zones by special exception, then local business by special exception, and then out in general business and industrial. And that'd be like maybe an auto car auction, comes to mind.
All these flea market locations are having auctions also.
Yes, and you need a fair amount of space usually for something like that. But I know, you think this one's okay
Yes.
as is?
Yes.
Hey, chime in anytime, Todd. Auto body shop painting and painting with screened disabled vehicle storage. Okay, and that's special exception in local business, and then on out general business through industrial. No place else.
So are we allowing auto repair to occur in other areas?
Well, the next one below it is auto body shop painting without disabled vehicle storage. And about the only difference there is it's allowed in ag by special exception. So, the question is, it's the painting that has caused it to get not allowed in ag or all of the other zones except clear out at local business, general business. Yeah. And then there's other, probably automobile repair is also kind of the same way. It's pushed out to, neighborhood convenience by special exception. And local business, general business, I-1, I-2, I-3 by right. But we all know there's a lot of repair shops in a lot of districts. They're kind of somewhat accepted, but it seems like
I think it'd be hard to defend why you couldn't paint if you're gonna allow wrenching to go on.
paint's fumes, I think might be the thing that they've looked at there. But yeah, I hear what you mean. And the requirements on a body shop not to pollute are greater than they used to be
Okay.
with their painting booth and everything. It's not just blow it out the door with a big fan or anything. But something to consider is that we do have a lot of auto repair shops that coexist in neighborhoods and ag areas. And do we want to allow more of those by special exception? So we have some control over it, now we just have people doing it without asking. You know? Or when they expand the business and want to build onto their barn, they show up for a building permit, and then they has to come in and justify it with a special exception. And in some of these cases, we don't even have the ability to give them a special exception.
That's where I was at.
So you think it adds some special exceptions?
I am.
Yeah.
But I think it's important to make that distinction with the disabled vehicle storage, with or without. That's really big. It's really big, because I'm sure that's a huge problem. We get a lot of calls on that. We have a lot of places that are now have a lot of cars, and they don't have them screened in. And we have a lot of places that have a good shop, right?
Yeah.
But even with that, you're supposed to have so many places for parking for your employees and your customers.
Yeah.
But let's not have any, all these cars sitting around.
Yeah.
And with today's, it's been like this for quite a while, is sometimes you have to wait on a part for 2 months.
But some
you
of
do
them
with
look
that
like
car.
they've been there for years.
Yeah,
With flat tires.
yeah.
Yeah.
You're saying leave the disabled one alone.
Well, just be careful what you do with that, with or without the disabled, because that turns into, it already has the way we have it now.
So your recommendation on ones that allow disabled vehicle storage, maybe be more stringent and push them out into I-1, I-2 kind of thing? Kind of like it is now? But if
Yeah, I like the idea of getting,
Yeah.
I know a lot of people have started businesses, right? They're a good mechanic. They started in their garage,
Yeah.
but we don't want to have that, know that without disabled vehicle storage is really important to all the neighbors and the rest of the property values around.
So if we were making a change, we might make special exception without disabled vehicle storage. Only make that change.
Yeah, keep that in
The other
there.
ones that want disabled vehicle storage, push them out to I-1, et cetera.
Mm-hmm. So I guess another way to state it is without disabled vehicle storage, that line there, you could open that up for a little bit on special exceptions into some of the other neighborhood kind of places. But be really careful with the screened in vehicle storage piece.
Yes.
It gets taken advantage of.
Good. Okay. Well, we'll conclude there. Does anybody have anything else? David, do you have anything else for us?
Not, although I did find the answer to Mr. Atkins' question, it is, the accessory is on, like if you have a residence and you have a pool house or whatever, that you use it as an apartment, that's what it's for.
So it'd be an apartment on another.
On a single family dwelling or,
Okay.
it's in the definition section if you want further clarification of the airline zoning ordinance, which I have if you want to see it.
So you guys are gonna recommend we bring these back to the following meeting so we don't have to print them every time?
Yes, and so you
That
got
way
your
we can
notes.
keep our notes together.
Right. Okay, well, at this time, it's 7:03. Like a motion to adjourn?
Are you gonna do the swear things?
I want to make a motion that we adjourn.
Swear again? I'm gonna.
You gonna swear us in the next meeting,
Well, you can,
or right now?
however you want to do it, whatever's convenient.
Let's hold off on adjourning then.
Do you
Go
have
ahead.
the notary here?
Is it no?
But she said that she's here. Just go over to the health department here on the first floor, and her equipment's over there, and we'll just have it notarized.
You'll do it by signing affidavit. Instead of swearing in orally.
All right.
Rather
Is that
than
okay?
swear in.
Yes.
Does that work for you?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, that's what we'll do. And
He's got it right here.
would you like a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
So it's time.
Do this thing.
There were some questions about our enforcement procedures, there were 153, 155. You might have done that because you drafted
We're gonna
it.
make you official.
You know that when you did that.
Because they, with the
Right, they're all right here, your
Well, some of that was from a
like he
previous.
said, this Friday,
You know, some of it was a real.
yeah, it was, but it's,
I can't even put my arms out.
it's, our, what we can do is all right in here.
They got them now.
It's in the airline, so that's what you, I mean, if you ever have questions, you can go.
Well, and then the one I'm running is all the electronic.
I saw that and I kept wondering about
The electronic version is on the website
Oh, good, yeah, that's excellent.
this one. We didn't get their docket.
that I have.
BZA 24 Cal Hill.
I'm sorry. 335, yeah, it's where we get the right to, I think it's when they can go on property, when they can't, that sort of thing. It's all right in here, violations, enforcement procedure. Right here's the sale, this tells you, basically it's what we did. You know, we gave a certified letter, they're still there, so we're taking it to court. We can ask for, basically injunctive or civil penalties.
I don't think I would make it. I got it on the library.